In a previous flight report, I said that the Singapore Airlines Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner is my favorite aircraft in their fleet. It's one of the two wide-body jets that the airline operates within their regional network. The other wide-body is the Airbus A350-900, which is also used on longer routes to cities in Europe. The Singapore-based airline has different configurations of this aircraft, including one for their ultra-long-haul flights between Singapore and New York. While I have previously featured a flight on an A350, it's been a while, so in this edition of Travels with Flights in Asia, we'll be taking a regional flight from Singapore to Manila on board Singapore Airlines Airbus A350-900, departing from Changi Airport Terminal 2. Hello and good morning from the Changi Jewel in the Singapore Changi Airport complex. But where is everyone? And why is the waterfall, its biggest attraction, not working? Previously, I flew in the day before from Seoul, and if you want to watch that flight report, I will be linking that in the description below. Unlike most other airports in the world, I always make it a point to come to Changi Airport early every time I'm in Singapore. However, the Jewel stores do not open until 10 a.m. and the waterfall is not turned on until later at 11 a.m. This isn't my first time at Changi Airport, though it's the first time I'll be featuring a departure from this airport. Fortunately, I do have some stock footage of the waterfall in action. For those who want to visit and enjoy the Changi Jewel while they're transit in Singapore, try to find a flight with a morning arrival and an evening departure out of Singapore. Make sure you also complete your Singapore arrival card online. As for immigration purposes, you do have to enter Singapore. After enjoying the sights and sounds at the Changi Jewel, you can make your way to all of the terminals which are connected to the Jewel, all except Terminal 4, which there is a free bus service. In this case, for our flight today, we'll be flying out of Terminal 2, where most of Singapore Airlines flights to Southeast Asia are operating, including our flight to Manila, Flight SQ912, which departs Changi Airport just after noon and arrives in the mid-afternoon at Manila. Meanwhile, other Singapore Airlines flight departures to other destinations, including cities in North America and Europe, will depart out of Terminal 3. Singapore is one of those cities known for efficiency, and check-in can be done with the self-service counters and bag drop. Within minutes, you can clear through immigration, though again, if you do have time to spare, you can also explore some of the sites at Terminal 2, including the digital waterfall in the check-in lobby, and the replica of the iconic flip information board that the airport once had. These are two of the main attractions that are within the Terminal 2 landside. There are a few other attractions inside the transit area, so you do have to clear through immigration. Unlike most other airports, security checks are done at each gate. So combined with the use of the immigration e-gates, there is no crowding in the pre-departure area. And while the airport does invest in a lot of machines for each gate, it reduces the use of a very few machines for all the passengers at the terminal. The attractions inside Terminal 2, such as the Dreamscape, does involve the use of more digital displays, though of course it still has the use of fresh plants, flowers, and real fish. If you're not into that, you can also hang out at the Sunflower Garden to do some plane spotting, only to see some construction work going on. If you've ever been to Singapore enough times, you'll know the running joke in the city: Singapore is always under construction. And that's true for Changi Airport, which has been under construction for most of these years, and testament of that is further away with the ongoing Terminal 5 project. As the boarding time gets closer, it's highly recommended to get to the gate to complete the security check early, before getting to some of the most comfortable seats at a boarding gate at any airport. Unlike the Sunflower Garden and throughout the terminal, here we'll get a more better view of the airside, featuring our 4-year-old Airbus A350-900, which will be taking us to Manila today. Once inside, with the consistency of the economy class product among the Singapore Airlines aircraft, it's very hard to tell the differences between the 787-10s and the A350-900s. Especially both aircraft on the Singapore Airlines fleet has a 333 configuration in economy class. Once you get to your seat, you'll start to see some of the differences, with the manual window shades to start. There is still a power outlet below between the seats. This seat features a bigger touchscreen which controls the USB charging port and earphone jack on the bottom of the screen. However, I do want to point out, if you do plug in the USB charging port with your device, it does get in the way of the little apartment and you can't really hold the phone there while charging it. And like most of the newer wide-body jets these days, you won't find any aircon vents in the overhead. As the boarding process was near completion, we get the rare treat in air travel in the form of a hot towel. And not long after that, the safety video was played, before we began our pushback and taxi to the runway. After the safety video and a few ads that run, you can access the Chris World system before a beautiful midday departure heading north to Manila. After taking off from Singapore, you get to see some sights of Malaysia, including the city of Johor Bahru. After takeoff, we can continue to explore the Chris World system, which do feature some slight differences compared to the 787 version. One example of this in the flight map, which unlike the 787, you can interact and adjust it by touch. You also have options to change the views and also the labels, which also includes identifying the closest cities en route. When watching your movies or TV shows, you can also have the flight information display on the left side of the screen and toggle it on and off every now and then if you want. Or you can access the in-flight Wi-Fi system, which while you can pay for it, if you are a member of KrisFlyer, you can access it for free. I do recommend to sign up for KrisFlyer ahead of the flight before departure. Between the IFEs on the 787 and the A350, I think on this one I'm going to go with the A350. As we continued to cruise on to Manila, it was time for lunch, which we had the options between the Mediterranean fish and herb sauce or soy garlic chicken with yellow noodles. I selected the chicken and noodle option, which, while the presentation was not great, as the saying goes, the looks are deceiving, it was actually very delicious. As always, Singapore Airlines always gets a boost point on these flights by providing steel utensils. There is a water bottle provided, though you can always ask the flight attendants for other drinks. In addition, the tray also featured some French vanilla ice cream. After our lunch, it wouldn't be long until we began our approach into Manila. Starting from the south, we went a bit north before turning back to line up for landing at Manila Airport. After touching down at Manila Airport, we would then make our way for our disembarkation at Terminal 3. Based on my experiences on Singapore Airlines flights, including those that I did not do flight reports on, one of the reasons why the Singapore flag carrier is highly regarded around the world is for the consistency in products. While there may be some slight differences in the seats or features on the IFEs, the services and the seat features are mostly the same. Now, after completing this flight report, I think I would definitely look for some opportunities if I get the chance to fly on their A380s or the narrow-body 737s, including the MAX. It also helps for Singapore Airlines to operate out of one of the best airports in the world, an attraction of its own right. That's all for now. I definitely hope you enjoyed this flight report on board the Singapore Airlines flight using an Airbus A350-900 from Singapore to Manila. This has been another edition of Travels with Flights in Asia. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.